Riley had never thought of himself as special. He was just a guy from Earth, living in the bustling city of Nova Port, a spaceport built on the edge of human-occupied space. The city was alive with the sounds of ships landing, engines humming, and distant alien chatter. For most people, it was exciting, full of possibilities. For Riley, it was just another place to live a quiet, ordinary life. By day, he worked as a maintenance technician at the spaceport. His job was simple but necessary, fixing broken airlocks, adjusting ship panels, and making sure the automated transport systems didn't collapse under the weight of cargo. His co-workers treated him like any other employee, sometimes friendly, sometimes ignoring him, but no one ever looked at him like he mattered. "Hey, Riley, you're late again," called Jex, his supervisor, from across the hangar. Riley wiped the sweat from his forehead and shrugged. "Traffic," he muttered, though he knew no one believed him. Nova Port had no real traffic. The shuttle lifts ran on precise schedules. "Don't let the AI systems catch your mistake this time," Jex warned, pointing to a nearby transport drone that hummed quietly. "Or you'll be reprogramming panels all night." Riley sighed and walked toward the drone. He loved machines. They were predictable, unlike people. Machines didn't judge, machines didn't expect. They worked and they broke, and Riley fixed them. It was simple. That evening, as the twin suns dipped below the horizon, Riley finished his work early. The hangar lights glowed a soft orange, reflecting off the steel walls and polished floors. Most workers had already left, eager to reach their quarters or enjoy a meal. Riley stayed behind, cleaning tools and making sure everything was in order. Often stayed late. He liked the quiet. He liked watching ships take off and land, imagining the places they were going. But deep down, he couldn't help feeling that his life was small, ordinary. He had no adventures, no excitement, just work, home, and sleep. That night, as Riley prepared to leave, a faint sound echoed through the hangar, like a soft whimper, almost lost under the hum of machines. He froze, listening. The sound came again, clearer this time, desperate and urgent. He glanced toward the shadows near a stack of cargo crates. There, half hidden, was a figure unlike anything he had ever seen. She was humanoid, yes, but not human. Her skin shimmered faintly, reflecting the orange lights of the hangar, and delicate markings ran across her arms and face, glowing like tiny constellations. Her hair moved as if underwater, and her eyes were the color of the galaxy, swirling with blue, purple, and silver. Riley's heart raced. He wanted to turn away, to pretend he hadn't seen her. He was just a maintenance guy. He was not brave. He was not a hero. But something in her eyes held him in place. Something that whispered, "Help me." Before he could think further, a group of figures appeared at the far end of the hangar. They moved fast, precise, like hunters. Their armor was dark, sleek, and deadly. Each carried a weapon that hummed with energy. They were not human. Riley didn't know what species they were, but they were dangerous. The alien girl, her name Riley would soon learn was Kayla, looked at him and took a cautious step forward. "Please, help me," she whispered, her voice melodic, almost musical. Riley's mind raced. Run, hide, call for help. But all of that felt impossible. They would find her, and him, before anyone else could. Instinct took over. He grabbed the nearest crate and used it to shield her. The hunter's weapons glowed brighter as they approached. Riley's heart pounded, but he acted. "This way!" he yelled, pulling Kayla behind a stack of containers. She moved quickly, her movements elegant and precise, but she was clearly exhausted. Riley noticed small scratches on her arms and the faint burn of energy from her markings. She was hurt, and she was scared. The hunters were relentless. They scanned the hangar with a sharp mechanical precision, their weapons scanning for heat and movement. Riley had no weapons, no training, and no idea how he would get them out alive. But he couldn't leave her. "Follow me," he whispered, keeping low. He led her toward the maintenance tunnels, narrow pathways hidden beneath the hangar. They were dark, winding, and confusing to anyone who didn't know them. Riley did. As they ran, Kayla whispered, "Why are you helping me? Humans. They are weak. You could leave me." Riley shook his head. "I can't. I don't know why, but I can't just leave you." She studied him for a moment, her glowing eyes filled with curiosity and something else. Hope. Perhaps humans are not as weak as I believed," she said softly. They finally reached a maintenance door, small enough to be unnoticed by the hunters. Riley pushed it open, and they slipped inside, panting, hearts racing. The corridor beyond was dimly lit, but safe for the moment. Kayla collapsed onto the floor, resting her hands on her knees. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have saved my life." Riley leaned against the wall, catching his breath. I didn't do much, just ran." "No," she said firmly, her voice calm now. "You acted. You risked yourself. That is more than most would do. You are extraordinary." Riley blinked. "Extraordinary? Me? I fix drones and shuttle panels. I'm nothing special." Kayla shook her head. "No, human. You do not understand. Courage does not come from strength. It comes from action, from the will to act when others would hide. You have that." Riley didn't know how to respond. He had never thought of himself as brave. He had never thought anyone would notice him. And yet, here was this alien, who clearly had seen countless beings across the galaxy, telling him that he was more than ordinary. For a few moments, silence filled the corridor. Then Kayla spoke again, her tone serious. "They are after me because I know something very important. They will not stop until they have it, and I cannot allow them to get it." Riley frowned. "Get it? What is it? And who are they?" Kayla's eyes darkened, the glow in her markings flickering. "They are mercenaries from the Vryn Dominion. They seek the Mech, the weapon of immense power capable of controlling planetary defenses. If they obtain it, countless lives will be lost, including yours." Riley's stomach turned. He had heard rumors of the Mech. It was said to be an ancient machine, far beyond human technology, hidden somewhere in the outer colonies. But he never imagined he would be involved in anything. "Like this, you're saying, I have to help you?" he asked, his voice small. Kayla shook her head. "I do not ask, human, but if you choose to act, if you choose courage, you may be the one to change everything." Riley felt a strange mix of fear and determination. He had no training, no weapons, no plan, and yet, for the first time in his life, he felt needed. "Okay," he said quietly. "I'll help, but we need to hide first. They'll be looking for us." Kayla nodded. "Yes, and then we will find a way to the Mech. You will see, human. There is more inside you than you know." For the first time, Riley allowed himself to imagine something beyond his ordinary life. Something big, something dangerous, something extraordinary. They moved carefully through the maintenance tunnels, avoiding security sensors and patrol drones. Riley's knowledge of the hangar proved invaluable. He knew hidden passages, ventilation shafts, and weak points in the patrol routes. Kayla watched him with fascination, noting how his human creativity and unpredictability made them invisible. Hours passed as they navigated the labyrinthine tunnels. Finally, they found a safe spot, a small maintenance room, abandoned and stocked with old supplies. Riley blocked the door and motioned for Kayla to rest. "I don't know what happens next," Riley admitted, sitting down on a metal crate. "I'm just a normal guy." Kayla knelt beside him, placing a hand on his shoulder. You are not normal. You are human. And humans, they have something the Vryn Dominion does not. Imagination, courage, adaptability. The Mech, it will respond to you in ways they cannot even comprehend. Riley stared at her, unsure if she was speaking truth or trying to comfort him. But deep down, he felt a flicker of hope. Perhaps his ordinary life was about to end. Perhaps, for the first time, he would do something that mattered. Outside, the hum of the spaceport continued. Ships landed, alarms buzzed quietly in the distance, and somewhere far away, the Vryn mercenaries searched relentlessly. But inside that small room, for a brief moment, Riley felt alive. And so the ordinary earthling, maintenance technician, quiet dreamer, unremarkable man, found himself on the edge of an adventure that would change everything. He did not know how he would survive. He did not know what the Mech was capable of. He did not know if he had the courage to face what lay ahead, but for the first time in his life, he was ready to try. And that was enough. The room was quiet, except for the soft hum of machinery left behind from years of maintenance work. Riley sat on the crate, staring at Kayla, the alien girl he had rescued. He could not stop thinking about what she had said. The Mech, a weapon, of immense power, and I may be the one to activate it. Riley shook his head. It sounded impossible. He was just a maintenance technician, not a soldier, not a hero. And yet, something inside him refused to ignore the pull of destiny. He had saved her once. Could he save her again and stop the mercenaries? Could he really make a difference? Kayla stood, stretching slightly, her glowing markings casting a soft light across the room. She moved with grace, like a dancer in zero gravity, and Riley could not help but feel a strange mixture of awe and admiration. She was powerful, yes, but also vulnerable, and he had just saved her life. We cannot stay here long, Kayla said, softly. They will search every corner. The Vryn mercenaries are skilled trackers. They will find us if we linger. Riley nodded. So, what do we do? Kayla's eyes narrowed, thinking. We need a plan, and you, human, will play a role in that plan. It is not just my knowledge that will save the Mech. It is your unpredictability, your creativity. You see things in ways they cannot. Riley frowned. I don't understand. I fix drones and panels. I'm not special. How can I be important? Kayla stepped closer and placed a hand gently on his arm. Courage is not about size or strength. It is about action. You acted tonight when others would hide. That is why you are important. Riley felt warmth in her words, but he also felt fear. I don't know if I can do more. They are hunters, Kayla, and we don't even know where the Mech is. How? Can we stop them? Kayla's eyes softened. You can. You just do not see it yet. The Mech is hidden on a distant moon, controlled by humans and protected by their own systems. They do not know it can respond to your type of input, to human intuition. That is why you matter. That is why you can succeed. Riley swallowed hard. His heart pounded in his chest. The words sounded impossible, but he could not deny a strange sense of purpose rising within him. For the first time, he felt that maybe, just maybe, he could do something that mattered. Kayla led him to a small terminal in the room, old but functional. She tapped a few keys, and a holographic map projected in the air. Riley's eyes widened. It was a map of the outer colonies, showing a distant moon marked with a glowing symbol, the Mech's location. They have hidden it well, Kayla said, but not perfectly. The Vryn mercenaries are already on their way. If we wait too long, they will reach it first. Riley studied the map. So, we have to go there? Now, Kayla nodded. Yes, but we cannot travel openly. The Vryn monitors, Human systems. We must be careful. And you will need to help me interface with the mech. Alone, I cannot activate it fully. It requires something human. Your type of thinking. Riley's stomach tightened. You mean I have to pilot it? Kayla looked at him seriously. Not just pilot. You will guide it. Make choices it does not understand. You will improvise. That is why I saved you tonight. You have the potential to surprise them, and the mech will respond to that. Riley could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. He was just a guy from Earth. He was not a soldier. He had no combat experience, and yet here he was, standing beside an alien who trusted him to face mercenaries, steal a powerful weapon, and change the course of events. He took a deep breath. Okay, he said quietly. I'll do it. But we need a way to get there safely. We can't just walk into their base. Kayla smiled faintly. That is why I need your human creativity. You see things I do not. Together, we can find a way. They spent the next few hours planning. Kayla taught Riley how to manipulate alien technology. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Panels with glowing symbols, touch-sensitive interfaces, and energy flows that responded to thought. Riley struggled at first, fumbling with the controls, but Kayla guided him patiently. Relax, she said. Do not think of this as complicated. Think of it as a puzzle. Your human logic will help you see patterns I cannot. Riley nodded, trying to steady his hands. Slowly, he began to understand the basics. He could sense the energy flows, predict how panels would respond, and even anticipate simple sequences. Kayla watched him with growing admiration. You learn quickly, she said. Perhaps humans are not as weak as I believed. Riley smiled faintly. I guess I'm learning from the best teacher. Kayla tilted her head, a faint glow radiating from her markings. And perhaps you are teaching me too. I did not realize how much human intuition could complement alien technology. As they trained, Riley also learned more about Kayla. She told him about her home planet, a beautiful world filled with glowing forests and floating lakes, and about her people, who had been hunted by the Vryn Dominion for generations. She spoke of their knowledge of the Mech, a weapon built long ago by an alliance of advanced civilizations. The Mech could control planetary defenses, making it a powerful tool for protection or destruction. Riley listened, fascinated. He had never imagined a galaxy so vast, with species so different, and technology so advanced. And yet, here he was, part of it. Night fell outside the maintenance room, though the artificial lights inside remained constant. Riley felt exhaustion creeping in, but he could not rest. He thought about the Vryn mercenaries, the Mech, and the responsibility now resting on his shoulders. He had saved Kayla once, and now he had to help her again. Riley, Kayla said suddenly, breaking his thoughts. You are ready. We will leave at first light. We must travel to the moon and retrieve the Mech before they do. Riley swallowed, hard. And if we fail? Kayla's eyes softened. Then many will suffer. But I believe in you. I trust you. You have already surprised me. You can do this. Her words, simple yet powerful, filled Riley with determination. He was afraid, yes, but he was no longer paralyzed by fear. He had a purpose, he had a mission, and he had Kayla's trust. The rest of the night passed quietly. Riley could not sleep, though he tried. He paced the small room, mentally preparing for the journey ahead. He thought about the Mech, about piloting it, about facing the Vryn mercenaries. The danger was real, and he knew mistakes could cost lives. And yet, he also thought about something else, something unexpected. He felt a strange connection to Kayla, not just as a person he had saved, but as a companion, a partner in this impossible task. Her trust in him was empowering, and for the first time, he felt that maybe he was capable of more than he had ever imagined. When dawn approached, they prepared to leave. Kayla had secured the maintenance room and set traps to delay any pursuers. Riley packed the few supplies he could carry, tools, rations, and a personal data pad. It was not much, but it would have to do. They moved through the tunnels carefully, avoiding the patrol drones and security systems. Riley's knowledge of the spaceport layout proved invaluable. They slipped past sensors, navigated maintenance shafts, and avoided detection at every turn. Finally, they reached the hangar exit. The sky above was painted in soft hues of orange and pink as the twin suns rose. Ships of various designs flew across the sky, unaware of the quiet drama unfolding below. Kayla looked at Riley. "Are you ready?" she asked. Riley nodded, his heart pounding. "As ready as I'll ever be." They stepped into the light, moving toward the shuttle that would take them to the outer colonies. Riley felt a mixture of fear and excitement. He was leaving behind the ordinary life he had always known. He was stepping into a galaxy of danger, technology, and adventure, and for the first time, he did not feel small. As they boarded the shuttle, Riley cast one last glance at Nova Port. The city was alive and bustling, but it no longer felt like home. It was a reminder of the life he had left behind, and the extraordinary path ahead. The shuttle lifted off, leaving the city behind, carrying two unlikely companions toward a distant moon, a hidden Mech, and a destiny neither could have imagined. Riley did not know what awaited them. He did not know if he would succeed or if they would survive the journey. But he knew one thing. He had chosen courage, and that choice would change everything. As the stars stretched out before them, Riley felt a thrill he had never known. He was no longer just a guy from Earth. He was part of something bigger, something dangerous, something extraordinary, and the adventure had only just begun. The shuttle hummed quietly as it traveled through the empty stretches of space, leaving Nova Port far behind. Riley sat across from Kayla, watching the stars stretch into long streaks outside the window. He had never imagined space looked like this, endless, silent, and alive with possibilities. Kayla studied the navigation panel, her glowing hands moving over the controls with precision. "We will reach the outer colonies soon," she said. "From there we must move carefully. The Vryn Dominion tracks all standard routes. We cannot be detected." Riley nodded, though his stomach twisted with anxiety. "So, how do we even start? We're just two people against—" "What? A fleet of mercenaries?" Kayla's eyes softened. "Not a fleet, human, a squadron. Still dangerous, yes. But numbers alone do not guarantee victory. Strategy, surprise, and improvisation are what matter." Riley swallowed hard. Improvisation. That was human territory. Machines were predictable. Soldiers followed patterns. But humans could think differently. And maybe, just maybe, that was their advantage. The shuttle landed on a small, uninhabited moon, far from major human colonies. The surface was rocky, with jagged cliffs and deep craters. Riley felt the pull of gravity beneath his feet and the cold of the airlock. This was alien territory, and it felt both thrilling and terrifying. Kayla led him to a small cave hidden among the rocks. It was a natural shelter, barely visible from above. Inside, she activated a holographic map of the moon, projecting the Mech's location in bright blue lines. "They have protected it well," Kayla said. "The Mech is kept in a hangar at the center of a restricted base. Energy shields, security drones, automated weapons, it is nearly impossible to reach." Riley stared at the map, trying to make sense of the glowing lines and circuits. "Impossible. So how do we do it?" Kayla smiled faintly. "We do it because we must, and because we can." Riley shook his head. "We? You mean me?" I don't even know how to fight. I'm just a maintenance guy. Kayla stepped closer, her glowing eyes steady on him. That is why you are essential. The mech will respond to human input, not just alien technology. You think in ways the Vryn Dominion cannot predict. Your creativity, your unpredictability. That is what will give us an edge. Riley felt a mixture of fear and pride. He had never thought of himself as important, but Kayla's words planted a seed of belief. Maybe he could do this. Maybe he could be more than ordinary. They spent the next hours planning. Kayla explained the base's defenses, energy shields surrounding the hangar, patrol drones scanning for movement, automated turrets with high-precision targeting, and a force field-locking the mech's control room. We cannot go in directly, Kayla said. We must use stealth, distractions, and timing, and that is where your human creativity comes in. Riley leaned over the map, studying it carefully. What if we create a diversion? Something unexpected. Maybe we trigger the alarms on the other side of the base, draw the drones away, and slip in unnoticed? Kayla's eyes brightened. Exactly. That is what I mean. Humans see possibilities we sometimes overlook. We rely too much on calculations. You think outside the pattern. Riley smiled faintly. Okay. And once we reach the mech? Kayla's expression turned serious. We interface with it. I can activate some systems, but it will require human improvisation to reach full functionality. You will guide it. Make choices it does not understand. That is how we will succeed. Riley swallowed hard. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him. He was just a guy from Earth, yet he was being asked to steal one of the galaxy's most powerful machines. And if he failed, lives would be lost. Are you ready? Kayla asked. Riley nodded, even though his heart raced. As ready as I'll ever be. They left the cave at dawn, moving quietly across the rocky moon. Kayla had studied patrol patterns and weak points in the base's defenses. Riley followed her lead, carrying a small pack of tools and devices she had given him. These were simple gadgets, designed to disrupt sensors and disable minor security measures. As they approached the base, Riley felt his nerves tighten. The hangar loomed in the distance, surrounded by energy shields and patrol drones. Automated turrets rotated, slowly scanning the terrain. One wrong move, one misstep, and they could be destroyed instantly. Kayla knelt behind a rock, her glowing hands hovering over a small device. We go in sections, she whispered. I will create a temporary shield to mask our approach. You will disable the nearest drone. We move quickly, silently, and with purpose. Follow my lead. Riley's hands shook slightly, but he nodded. Got it. The first part of the plan worked surprisingly well. Kayla's shield masked their heat signatures, and Riley used his tools to temporarily disable a drone without triggering alarms. They moved quickly, crouching behind rocks and vents, avoiding the rotating turrets. Good, Kayla whispered. Keep going. Almost there. Riley felt adrenaline pumping through his veins. He had never done anything like this before. But somehow, his human instincts, intuition, observation, creativity, kept them safe. He noticed patrol patterns that Kayla hadn't, small timing gaps between drones, and weaknesses in sensor placement. His ordinary mind was now extraordinary, in this alien environment. Finally, they reached the outer perimeter of the hangar. Energy shields pulsed faintly, a reminder of the base's defenses. Riley's stomach twisted with anxiety. One misstep here and everything would be lost. Kayla studied the shield controls. I can lower it for a brief moment, but only long enough for us to enter. Timing is crucial. You must be ready to move as soon as I give the signal. Riley nodded, his heart pounding. Ready. The moment came. Kayla activated the shield device, and a section of the energy barrier flickered, allowing them to slip through. Riley moved first, agile and careful, following the path Kayla had marked. They ducked under laser grids, slid past security cameras, and navigated the narrow corridors leading to the Mech's hangar. Inside the hangar, the Mech stood tall and silent, a towering machine of metal and energy. Its design was unlike anything Riley had ever seen, sleek, powerful, and intimidating. Lights pulsed along its frame, and faint energy flows ran through its limbs, waiting for activation. Kayla approached the control panel. "This is it," she whispered. "But remember, it will not respond fully to me. It needs human input. Your input." Riley stepped closer, feeling the Mech's energy hum beneath his fingertips. His mind raced. He had never piloted anything like this. How could he control a machine capable of planetary defense? How could he outsmart the Vryn mercenaries? Kayla placed a hand on his shoulder. "Trust yourself. Trust your instincts. The Mech will respond." Riley took a deep breath and touched the control panel. Energy pulsed through him, responding to his thoughts. It was strange, unlike any machine he had ever handled. It felt alive, aware, and somehow understanding. Slowly, he began to move the Mech's limbs, testing its responses. It was clumsy at first, but Kayla guided him. "Think creatively. Do not rely on protocols. Improvise." Riley nodded. He realized that his human unpredictability was the key. He moved in ways the Mech's programming did not anticipate, and the machine responded fluidly. For the first time, he felt capable, powerful, and alive. Suddenly, alarms blared. The Vryn mercenaries had detected the breach. Security turrets activated, and patrol drones moved toward their location. Riley's heart raced. This was it, the test of everything they had planned. Kayla activated a secondary system, creating temporary barriers and disabling a few turrets. Riley guided the Mech, moving it strategically to block drones and avoid damage. They were working, together, human and alien, machine and mind, in perfect sync. Riley realized something important. The Mech was not just a machine. It was an extension of his creativity, his decisions, and his courage. It responded to him because he was willing to take risks, to act when others would hesitate. As they moved deeper into the hangar, Kayla pointed to the core control room. "There! The Mech must interface fully there. Hurry!" Riley pushed forward. His hands steady despite the alarms and chaos. Drones attacked, but his quick thinking and improvisation allowed them to disable each threat. Kayla's alien knowledge complemented his human creativity perfectly. Finally, they reached the core. Riley connected the Mech to the main console, and energy surged through the machine. Lights flashed, systems activated, and the Mech roared to life, towering over the hangar. Kayla's eyes glowed with admiration. "You did it. Human. You are the first to awaken the Mech fully." Riley felt a mix of awe, relief, and pride. He had done something extraordinary. He had taken an ordinary life and turned it into an act of courage and skill. Outside, the Vryn mercenaries regrouped, preparing to attack again. But Riley and Kayla were ready. Together, they would face whatever came next, using human unpredictability, alien knowledge, and the power of the Mech to survive. For the first time, Riley understood that being ordinary was no longer a limitation. His courage, creativity, and willingness to act made him extraordinary in a galaxy full of danger, and the true adventure was only beginning. The hangar was massive, stretching far above Riley and Kayla like a cathedral of steel and light. The Mech, towering and silent, waited in the center, its energy flows pulsing faintly. Riley's heart pounded as he stepped closer. Every step felt heavy, every sound amplified. Outside, alarms continued to echo. Patrol drones and Vryn mercenaries were closing in. There was no turning back. Kayla's glowing eyes met his. "We must act now," she said. "The longer we wait, the more of them will arrive. You guide the mech. I will assist with systems. Together we can escape." Riley nodded, gripping the controls. His palms were sweaty, but determination coursed through him. He reminded himself he had survived this far through his own creativity and quick thinking. He could do it again. Kayla stepped beside him, her hands hovering over a secondary control panel. "I will handle the energy shields and internal systems. You focus on movement and improvisation. Do not rely on protocols. Think like a human. Act instinctively." Riley took a deep breath and touched the main interface. Energy flowed through him, connecting him to the mech. It was alive in a way he had never experienced before. Lights shifted and pulsed in response to his thoughts, limbs moving slightly as if testing him. "Good," Kayla said. "Now, improvise. Do not follow the expected path. Make them react to you." Riley's mind raced. He had never piloted anything like this. But he focused, letting instinct take over. He moved the mech forward, dodging automated turrets and weaving between structural pillars. The machines guarding the hangar were precise and fast, but they could not predict human unpredictability. Riley's quick adjustments and sudden turns caused them to misfire, giving him and Kayla precious seconds. "Keep going," Kayla urged. "Almost to the exit corridor." Riley adjusted the mech's stride, leaping over a damaged section of the floor and narrowly avoiding a scanning drone. Sparks flew as it grazed the mech, but the machine held steady. Riley felt exhilaration. The fear was still there, but it was mixed with a strange confidence. He was in control, at least for now. Suddenly, a squad of Vryn mercenaries appeared at the hangar entrance, their weapons glowing ominously. Riley froze for a moment, but Kayla's hand pressed lightly on his arm. "Remember, creativity, improvisation. You can outsmart them." Riley nodded. He noticed a series of supply crates nearby. An idea sparked. Using the mech's strength, he lifted and threw them toward the squad, creating chaos and blocking their line of sight. The mercenaries shouted in frustration, giving him the chance to move forward. Kayla smiled. "Excellent thinking. That is exactly what I mean. Humans see possibilities we sometimes overlook." Riley's confidence grew. He felt a strange sense of power, not from the mech itself, but from the knowledge that his mind could guide it. The machine responded to his choices, adapting to his unconventional movements, moving faster and more fluidly than Kayla or any alien could have predicted. They reached a narrow corridor leading to the mech's interface room. The walls pulsed with energy, a warning that automated defenses were near. Riley's pulse quickened. One mistake here could trap them inside the hangar. Kayla placed a hand on a control panel. "I can disable some of the traps temporarily, but you must guide the mech carefully. Precision and timing are essential." Riley nodded, focusing completely. He moved the mech slowly, adjusting its arms to block lasers and stepping lightly to avoid pressure-sensitive panels. Kayla's adjustments complemented his movements, and together they advanced. A sudden blast shook the floor. One of the automated turrets had fired, narrowly missing the mech's leg. Sparks flew, and Riley's stomach dropped. "They're getting closer," he muttered. Kayla's eyes glowed brighter. "Use the environment. Don't fight them directly. Let the mech's power protect you, but make your moves unpredictable. That is our advantage." Riley scanned the corridor. He noticed a stack of energy containers along the wall. Another idea sparked. He lifted the mech's arm and pushed the containers over the edge. They crashed onto the floor, creating a barrier of fire and debris. The turrets malfunctioned, trying to recalibrate, giving them a clear path. Kayla's voice was calm but urgent. "Well done. Keep moving. We are almost at the interface room." Riley felt a surge of adrenaline. They had come this far, and he had relied not on training or experience, but on creativity and instinct. Every choice he made affected the mech. Every improvisation worked in their favor. Finally, they reached the interface room. It was a circular chamber, walls lined with glowing circuits and energy conduits. At the center, the mech's main console awaited. Riley approached it, placing his hands on the controls. Energy surged, reacting to his touch, flowing through circuits and sensors, connecting his thoughts to the machine. Kayla moved beside him, her hands glowing as she synchronized with the mech's systems. "Now," she whispered, "interface fully. Let the mech respond to you completely." Riley took a deep breath and allowed himself to think instinctively. He imagined movements, imagined sequences, and the mech responded instantly, its limbs moving as extensions of his own body. It was like nothing he had ever experienced, powerful, responsive, and alive. Outside, the Vryn mercenaries regrouped, preparing another attack. But Riley had learned something important. The mech was not just a machine. It was an extension of his mind. It responded to his choices, his creativity, his unpredictability. Kayla's voice guided him, but Riley realized he was no longer just following instructions. He was leading, improvising, and commanding the mech with intuition and courage. A squad of mercenaries entered the corridor, weapons ready. Riley acted quickly, moving the mech's arm to intercept them. They were thrown off balance, unable to predict his unconventional moves. Sparks flew as the mech's strength protected them. Kayla adjusted the energy shields, blocking additional attacks. "You are remarkable," she said. "I did not expect a human to adapt so quickly. You are more than capable." Riley felt a surge of pride. He had always believed himself ordinary, but now he realized he was extraordinary in his own way. His courage, creativity, and quick thinking were saving lives and guiding the mech. They reached the final section of the interface room. A force field barred the mech's full activation, a protective measure designed to prevent unauthorized control. Kayla studied the controls. "I can lower the shield temporarily, but it will require precise timing from you. You must move quickly and think ahead." Riley nodded, focusing completely. He guided the mech's limbs with careful precision, adjusting for timing, position, and energy flow. The force field flickered, then deactivated, allowing the mech's systems to come online fully. Energy surged through the mech, and it responded instantly to Riley's thoughts. Lights pulsed, sensors calibrated, and the machine roared to life. It was powerful, majestic, and responsive, more than either of them had imagined. Kayla's eyes shone with admiration. "You did it. Human. You have awakened the mech fully. Together we are ready to face whatever comes next." Riley felt a mixture of awe, relief, and pride. He had piloted the galaxy's most powerful machine, not through training, but through courage and human creativity. The impossible had become reality. Outside, the alarms continued, but Riley and Kayla were ready. They would face the Vryn mercenaries, escape the hangar, and protect the mech. Their combined skills, human intuition, and alien knowledge made them a formidable team. Riley realized something important. Being ordinary had never been his limitation. His courage, creativity, and willingness to act had made him extraordinary. And now, with the mech fully activated, he was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The hangar doors opened, and the Vryn mercenaries advanced. But Riley, with Kayla at his side, guided the mech forward, moving with precision, improvisation, and determination. Together, they would escape, survive, and continue their mission. And the true adventure, the final test of courage, skill, and ingenuity, was only beginning. The hangar doors thundered open, revealing the Vryn mercenaries advancing in tight formation. Their weapons glowed, scanning for any sign of movement. Riley felt the mech tremble beneath him, energy coursing through the machine like electricity, through his veins. For a moment, he hesitated, but only for a moment. Kayla's glowing eyes met his. Focus, human. Improvisation. Your creativity will guide us. Riley exhaled sharply and nodded. He had learned to trust his instincts. He had learned to trust the mech, and he had learned to trust himself. The first wave of mercenaries charged forward. Riley moved the mech with precision, its massive arms sweeping the attackers aside without causing permanent harm. Sparks flew, and the metallic clang of their weapons, striking the mech, echoed through the hangar. Kayla manipulated the energy shields, creating temporary barriers that redirected enemy fire. "You are doing wonderfully," she said. "Remember, unpredictability is our advantage. Think outside their patterns." Riley scanned the hangar, searching for anything that could give them an edge. His eyes fell on a row of maintenance cranes. Above, an idea sparked. "Kayla! The cranes! We can use them to block the corridor!" Kayla's eyes widened. "Yes, but you must time it perfectly. I will guide the mech, but the execution depends on your intuition." Riley focused, moving. The mech's arm upward, hooking one of the crane's control levers. Sparks flew as the massive crane swung down, crashing into the corridor and blocking the advancing mercenaries. The sudden chaos threw the enemies off balance, giving them a precious opening to advance toward the hangar exit. "Excellent!" Kayla exclaimed. "Your human intuition saved us again!" Riley felt a surge of confidence. He had begun the day as an ordinary maintenance technician, yet here he was, guiding a galaxy's most powerful machine through a deadly hangar. He was no longer just a guy from Earth. He was a hero in his own right. The mech moved forward, dodging, laser grids and weaving through obstacles with fluid grace. Kayla adjusted internal systems, boosting energy to the mech's legs and shields. "We are almost clear," she said. "Keep moving." Riley's heart raced. Outside the hangar, the terrain of the moon stretched before them. Jagged cliffs, deep craters and rocky plains. Escape would not be easy, but he had the mech, and he had Kayla. Together, they were unstoppable. A squadron of flying Vrin drones descended from the hangar ceiling, aiming to trap them. Riley's eyes darted around. He noticed the control cables of the overhead cranes still dangling. Another idea sparked. With careful precision, he lifted one crane with the mech's arm and swung it toward the drones. The cables wrapped around. The flying machines, pulling several down to the ground in sparks and fire. Kayla's voice was filled with amazement. "You are incredible! No alien strategy could have predicted this!" Riley smiled faintly, feeling a rush of pride. "I'm just thinking like a human." They reached the edge of the hangar, but another obstacle awaited. A reinforced force. Field blocking the exit. Kayla studied the control panel. "I can lower it, but only for a brief moment. You must move the mech through quickly and precisely." Riley nodded, focusing completely. His hands moved instinctively over the controls, adjusting for speed, balance, and energy flow. The force field flickered, then deactivated just long enough for the mech to slip through. Sparks and energy arcs danced around them as the field restored, but they were free. Outside, the moon's surface spread like a jagged battlefield. Mercenaries regrouped, and drones circled above. Riley guided the mech forward, using rocks and craters for cover, weaving unpredictably to avoid attacks. Kayla boosted shields and monitored enemy movement, synchronizing perfectly with Riley's improvisation. "Almost to the shuttle," Kayla shouted. "Keep going!" Riley's hands moved with growing confidence. He realized something important. The mech responded to him not because of its design, but because he had learned to trust himself. His creativity, courage, and intuition made him an extraordinary pilot in a machine of impossible power. Suddenly, a group of mercenaries charged across the plain, aiming to cut them off. Riley's mind raced. He spotted a ridge ahead, jagged and steep. Another idea sparked. He moved the mech toward the ridge, using its massive arms to push boulders down, creating a barrier between them and the enemies. The mercenaries were forced to retreat or risk being crushed. Kayla's voice was filled with awe. Human ingenuity, remarkable. Riley felt a surge of exhilaration. He had never felt so alive. Every decision, every improvisation, every instinctual move mattered. He was no longer just surviving. He was leading, guiding, and controlling the impossible. They reached the shuttle, its hull gleaming in the moonlight. Riley guided the mech carefully, avoiding rocks and craters, until they stood beside the craft. Kayla opened the shuttle doors, and they prepared to board. Riley hesitated for a moment, looking back at the hangar. Sparks still flew, drones circled, and mercenaries regrouped. But he had done it. They had reached the shuttle alive. They had activated the mech, and they had survived against overwhelming odds. Kayla placed a hand on his shoulder. You did it, human. You have proven yourself. The mech is awake and we are free. Your courage and creativity saved us both. Riley smiled faintly, feeling a warmth in his chest. He had always believed himself ordinary. But Kayla's words reminded him that extraordinary acts often came from ordinary people willing to act. As they boarded the shuttle, Riley guided the mech to cover the craft, its massive form shielding them from incoming fire. Kayla piloted the shuttle, maneuvering carefully to avoid obstacles and enemy attacks. Together, human and alien, mech and pilot, they moved through the moon's surface toward freedom. The Vryn mercenaries tried to pursue, but Riley's unpredictable maneuvers, combined with Kayla's skillful piloting, kept them ahead. Rocks, craters, and improvised barriers slowed the enemy, giving the shuttle precious seconds to gain speed. Finally, they lifted off, leaving the moon's surface behind. Riley watched as the Vryn forces shrank below them, unable to match their combined skill. For the first time in days, he allowed himself to breathe fully. Kayla turned to him, her glowing eyes reflecting relief and admiration. We did it. You have done what many could not. You have proven that humans can be more than expected, more than ordinary. You are extraordinary. Riley felt a mixture of pride and humility. I just did what I had to. I didn't think I could do it, Kayla smiled. You did it because you acted when others would hesitate. Courage and creativity are your strengths. Remember that. As the shuttle sped toward the safety of the outer colonies, Riley reflected on everything that had happened. He had started as just a guy from Earth, a maintenance technician living an ordinary life. But he had faced impossible odds, trusted his instincts, and guided a powerful alien machine through danger and chaos. He had discovered the true power of human creativity and courage. The mech, now fully operational, responded to Riley's touch as he sat beside Kayla, their partnership complete. He realized that the galaxy was full of challenges, but also full of opportunities for those willing to act, to think differently, and to trust themselves. Kayla glanced at him, her expression softening. The journey is far from over. The Vryn, Dominion will not forget this, but now we are ready. Together we are stronger than any challenge they can send. Riley nodded, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. He had found his place in the galaxy, not as an ordinary human, but as someone capable of extraordinary acts. He had learned that courage, creativity, and trust could overcome even the most impossible odds. As the stars stretched endlessly outside the shuttle window, Riley felt a thrill he had never known. The adventure was not just about survival or victory. It was about discovering the strength within himself and realizing that humans, even ordinary ones, could make an extraordinary difference. And with Kayla by his side, guiding, learning, and trusting him, Riley knew that this was only the beginning of a much larger journey. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and wonders, But Riley was no longer just a guy from Earth. He was a pilot, a strategist, a hero. He had carried the impossible, awakened the Mech, and proven that courage and creativity could shape the fate of worlds. Together, human and alien, Mech and mind, they soared through the stars, ready for whatever awaited them next. The adventure had reached a triumphant moment, but the story of Riley and Kayla, the ordinary human turned extraordinary pilot, had only just begun. And in that moment, Riley understood the truth. Being human was not a weakness. It was a power.